Hey, this is Evan, and you're listening to the Nonsensory podcast. On today's episode, we discuss the recent sexual harassment allegations plaguing Ubisoft that led to the departure of many high-level executives. You can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or Google Podcasts. Subscribe to us on YouTube, or check out our regular Tuesday stream at twitch.tv/nonsensory. On social media, we tweet at Nonsensory1, and you can find us on Facebook at Nonsensory Podcast. You can also support us on Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/nonsensorypod. Let's get into it. I have it written down here as bunch of Ubisoft execs fired over sexual harassment allegations. So this will be we're not going to get into the individual allegations or whatever. This is more of a general talk about it, but this is by Ian Walker at Kotaku. Serge Haskot has resigned as it might be Sergei. Sergei Haskot has resigned as Ubisoft's chief creative officer after weeks of damning accounts of sexual misconduct throughout the company's various studios. According to a Saturday evening press release, Yannis Malat, the powerful head of Ubisoft's Canadian studios, is also effective immediately, as is the company's global head of human resources, Cecile Cornet. Haskot was the most senior creative... Why do we have to read about French people? Was the most senior creative force at Ubisoft during his decade-long tenure, responsible for overseeing every aspect of creative production on series like Rayman, Assassin's Creed, and The Division. Yes.
You know why we have to read about French people?
Why?
Because they cannot keep their hands to themselves, apparently. Go ahead.
A recent report from French newspaper Libération publicized allegations of enabling misconduct by high-level executives like Tommy Francois, who is considered Haskot's right-hand man. Oh, this hurts. The position of chief creative officer will be filled by CEO Yves Guillemot in the interim.
Guillermo. I don't know.
Malat, who has been the head of Ubisoft Montreal since 2006 and oversaw the rest of the company's presence in Canada, is out following the numerous allegations of misconduct that have plagued his studios, most specifically Ubisoft Toronto, as Kotaku reported last week. These developments follow weeks of Ubisoft employees speaking out against behavior in the company and a day before Ubisoft Forward, the publisher's big digital showcase to promote all of its upcoming games. So not a good thing to be in the news for, especially right before
your big event.
Your big event, because as soon as everybody goes, oh, that Ubisoft thing's today, Google Ubisoft. What comes up next to all that stuff but this? And I know that's not even... I think that kind of minimalizes it. It kind of, takes it to...
No,
I don't want to think about the company at all.
No,
firstly.
I see what you're... I get what you're saying, and anyone who is looking at it and fairly understands what you're trying to say as well. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look good in the public eye. But speaking from a human,
speaking as a human,
this, I think it's a good thing for the news to be coming to light. Hollywood had their moment. It seems video games is going through their moment too. While I think in these spaces, there's an opportunity for people who want to take advantage of certain situations to do so, and that's not cool. Perverts being exposed as perverts is perfectly fine to me. I mean, the more you know that, the more you get to know about, who to stay away from, the better.
Every time something like this happens, the company always comes out and says that they 100% don't support such things, and they're going to work really hard to change, and then they hire people to, effectively make that change in the company and to be a watchdog for that kind of stuff. And they promise to do better. And to me, that stuff is very well and good, but they already had an HR department that fails people regularly. HR departments exist to protect companies. And I just don't see, it's hard for me to not think that they also won't try to manipulate the people that are put into these watchdog positions to still, minimize how things look in the media.
I think ideally, you're right. HR departments are there to protect companies, but I think ideally, that's not what they're supposed to do.
No,
HR departments are they're supposed to be defending the worker.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I mean though. Is like a lot of time that's what it's supposed to be, but they oftentimes, most of the time, function as a protection against litigation and stuff like that, and they try to push stuff under the rug as much as they can, and they try to minimize that stuff to protect the company's image.
Any company that knows what's up knows that that's not how it works, because stuff like this hurts. Okay, so I'm going to go way out in the weeds here, but bear with me. I'm going to have another one of my moments, okay? But a number of years ago, a study was published that showed that car manufacturers who fell into trouble with recalls, okay? If a car company came out and recalled a vehicle because of safety issues, okay, we'll just say seat belts are failing in our cars, and they put out a recall, consumer confidence in that company would actually go up, because they were like, oh, they'll take care of me when things go wrong.
Right, yeah. Or
And
if anything
when
is going wrong with them, they'll improve themselves. Yeah, stuff like
exactly. Whereas car companies who waited until it became a big issue and then would lose consumer confidence. So, and I feel like the same is true when stuff like this happens. If you were Ubisoft and you said, okay, instead of sweeping these, and I do have a feeling that these are things that didn't go all the way to the top, because it's a big organization, 16,000 employees. Okay, likely the person all the way up top didn't hear about every little thing that was going on. Okay?
Right, yeah.
But those in the know, if they were doing their jobs correctly and being human beings, would have heard of these things and said, okay, we need to address them immediately, and it does need to be public, because then the public would see that we're trying to do the right things.
Yeah.
And then you increase consumer confidence, and you increase, and then people see that you're a safe work environment and want to work for you. Basically, what I'm trying to say is HR at Ubisoft, you really screwed up completely not at just being a decent HR department, but also at being human beings. Allowing things like this to go on and not doing something about it is gross negligence.
Yeah.
At the least.
Yeah, and I think I think you brought up a really, really good point there, where you're talking about, people don't like to hear from people that aren't the people that, people don't want to hear from Kotaku that Ubisoft has issues with sexual harassment. They would much rather hear it from Ubisoft.
Exactly.
Based on them coming forward and saying, like, hey, we've gotten a bunch of sexual misconduct allegations or whatever in our studio, and we're going to take the steps to do better. But companies are so worried about their image that in their mind, what they're thinking is well, we don't want to put out that we're a place for, those kind of people to work and stuff like that. But you are eventually it will be that.
Exactly. That's my point.
Only it'll be much worse. You would want to be the place that these people work, and you're saying that it's not good enough and we're going to get better, versus being the place that these people work and you turned a blind eye to it.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to say, is when you hear about it from Kotaku, it's, oh man, they just kept sweeping this under the rug. If you heard about this 5 years ago from Ubisoft, it would be, man, Ubisoft is the place to work because they take their situation seriously.
Yeah.
Do you get the difference?
Yeah. So.
Why things like this keep happening? Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah, and
how is this hard?
And this isn't just a Ubisoft thing. It's all over the industry. It's not just, and it's not even isolated to, the people that are making the games. It goes to the people that work in games media, the people that work in covering games, in games journalism, the people that work streaming and stuff like that, when they, get DMs from creepy people and stuff like that. It's just, it goes all the way down the line. It's not isolated to these developers in power. It's no matter what, you can go down the line, and some streamer got inappropriately hit on at TwitchCon by some random other streamer or something like that. Like, people just need to realize that this stuff is not how you act. This is not how things work. And eventually there will be accountability for what you're doing. And I know that the thing that sucks about it is it concerns like sexual harassment and stuff like that. And coming forward with sexual abuse is hard to do for a lot of people.
I approach this whole thing with some caution, because there's always the opportunity, and I don't want to like be seen as like making little of the circumstances, but there is also the potential for misunderstanding. And what I mean is, like, okay, so you talk about one Twitch streamer getting hit on by another Twitch streamer at a conference. There, I feel like there's a little bit of a difference, because one, there's no company that's like sweeping it under the rug, like, oh, we better not let people hear about that. Mm-hmm. And two, it's like, how do you know that there wasn't some kind of misconstrued idea where they thought like, oh, I'm getting some vibes from this. I'm getting some vibes.
No,
from this
yeah,
lady.
for sure. But I think that you've said this previously, is that I would rather know.
Yeah,
if there's so that I can see where the stuff is. So I would rather, if an allegation comes out against somebody, I don't want to take that immediately as like somebody trying to sink that person.
Right.
I would rather take it in as, well, this is the perspective that they're sharing of how they felt. Now let's go get this other person's perspective, and I'll hear both sides. I'll hear the reactions to both sides, but at the end of the day, I'm going to make my own judgment. And
I mean,
so if
just to be utterly clear, mm-hmm. There was an accusation about like the only one that I actually saw. We were looking to see what the actual allegations were, and like it was like we were getting ready to record, and so we didn't mm-hmm. have much time to look into it. But the one thing that we actually saw, which it's surprisingly hard to actually find what the allegations really are. But the one was like someone put their hands around the neck of another person at a party.
Yeah, somebody
choking someone.
Yeah, they choked somebody. Yeah.
To be completely clear, that is absolutely disgusting behavior.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, whenever you're talking about, everyone just says allegations. What are they?
Yeah.
Because you can't, that could be anything. It could be, oh, I got passed up for a promotion. Well, who's to say the other person didn't deserve a promotion and you didn't?
Right. Yeah.
So like it's because you can hide anything behind you know what I mean? Like, some people were just talking about, oh, well, the work environments. Well, what about the work environments? Okay. You got to give me a little more than that, because I can tell you that I've worked at places where the work environment was real hostile.
Yeah.
It wasn't you know what I mean? There's a gray area there of where things can be misinterpreted.
Well,
you know
and I think that a lot of the people that go out and say that, like, well, you just shouldn't do that stuff at work. You shouldn't flirt because it can be taken a certain way. It's a professional environment. Like, you should never do that at work. I think a lot of the people that say that because they think that they also never do that. Right. They think that, oh, well, I never do that because you should never do that. And to me, it's like, I think that you do that, and you don't really consider it all the time because you're not always vigilant about that stuff. And I think that nobody said anything about you. You haven't hit that person yet, I think.
Well, how about this? I'm gonna run a little story.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a true story. This is just to kind of like, for perspective's sake. Let's say you're a parts delivery person for a garage, mm-hmm. okay? And you deliver parts to the same stores or to the same garages over and over and over again, okay? And as a parts driver, you start getting close to the people with whom you're delivering parts. Okay, so you get to know the secretaries, you get to know the mechanics. Okay, you see them every day. You start feeling like you're really friendly with these people. Let's say that one of the secretaries is the wife of one of the mechanics, okay? And she's always really cool to you every time that you come around. And at one point, you decide while you're talking, you're like, you put your arm around her while you make a comment about something. It's completely non-sexual, but it's just like a, hey, buddy, I got this thing, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, you're making conversation, and it's completely unwanted by her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If that comes up as an accusation of sexual harassment, it absolutely could be, but now you thought you were just friends and you didn't mean anything by it. Should that be treated on the same level as choking someone at a party?
No, those things are completely different.
And that's my point about needing to know what the accusations actually say.
Yeah. No, that's a fair point. I think that you got to take things individually, and specifically. It can't just be like a broad. But people generally just like don't mind or don't like it when you put your hands on them at all.
I think professionally speaking, you just shouldn't touch other people.
Yeah.
Just don't take any chances.
Yeah, for sure. But it's difficult for me though because like I like to. I'm
a very touchy-feely person.
Where I'll just be walking by and be like, hey, what's up, bud? Like stuff like that. I don't know. It's just not. It's not. That's just how I am. This is what's built into me. And
you know me. I love to hug people.
I think that for the most part, the people that are making the allegations are smart enough to get the vibe that you're giving off. And I trust those people to be smart enough to know when it's friendly and when it's not. That's not to say that it can't be misinterpreted, but I think that anybody that I know, I know a bunch of people that I work with that are like, nobody should touch me. Nobody ever touch me. I hate it. Don't hug me or whatever. Ask me, blah, blah, blah. I know the people that are hardline, like definitely not that. But like, I also know that they give me leeway to like give them a pat on the back or, stuff like that because they know that I
feel
don't
like you're
have
invading my space. Okay. No, I'm not making light. So time for a little bit of honesty. That actually is something that happened.
Oh.
Okay. And when she told me that this happened, I told her, look, he's like that with everybody. He does that, he'll put his arm around me too.
Yeah.
Like she came to me, oh, he did this thing and I don't know how to take it. Like, I was like, look, I know that's probably creepy because you don't know him like that, but he puts his arm on me too. He kind of does the same kind of joking around.
Mm-hmm.
And like a couple of weeks later, she came to me and she's like, I don't want him to touch me, but I see what you're saying now.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you see how because she thought that it was coming from a bad place.
Right.
And once I pointed it out, she was like, oh, okay, so maybe I jumped a little to conclusions.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this is also because there's a pattern that they're seeing here.
Now, that's different. Yeah. A pattern of behavior.
Where it's, if it's, because you could technically say, you take a pattern of behavior and kind of apply it to what you're saying, though, of like somebody who puts their arm around everybody. That is a pattern of behavior. It's a pattern of behavior that shouldn't be taken in that certain context is what I'm saying. It's still meant to be just a friendly thing or whatever. Yeah. But I think that when you're talking about something like what we're talking about with Ubisoft here, a lot of these accusations, because I did read about pretty much all the accusations like last week, but I forget a bunch of them because it was like a really long article of all of it. But it was multiple dudes, and it was a lot of them had multiple times with people having this issue. So when it becomes like 2 or 3 or 4 people saying like, yo, this guy does this and like I'm not comfortable with it, and then like 3, 4, or 5 of them have that same opinion, at that point it is an issue,
Oh yeah, for certain.
So, and I think the issue is that these execs probably knew about it and didn't do anything about it.
I will my last thing on the whole thing, like, I'm glad that people are coming forward. I'm glad that we've gotten to this point in our society where people are able to feel comfortable actually exposing these things going on.
Yeah.
It's as a woman today, it's got to be like just being able to just say these things happened.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have that ability in the 40s.
Well,
and
they have the ability because we as people now try to think that we take these things more seriously too. They feel more comfortable coming forward because they think something will be done with it.
I wasn't trying to. I think it's what I was trying to say is I feel like the times that we live in are like that's good.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good thing that women can have this ability to feel comfortable coming out in the open and saying what's going on, and I think that means better things for our future.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, and hopefully people will learn to keep their hands to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I forget where I was going to go from there. Oh, right. All that being said, I would just love it for Hollywood if they would stop like thinking that they have any right to lecture the rest of us on how to live, considering like the outrageous number of accusations against the Hollywood elite for these very kinds of things, and then they want to like point their fingers at everybody else in the world and say this is the way you ought to behave.
Yeah.
How about sit down? You're done talking. Okay.
Well,
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah. And it's a tough topic because it's like you want people to come forward with these stories so that people can know about this, so that we can do stuff about it, so that we can put pressure on people and companies to change, to make these things not be an issue. But it's also an individual person by person basis where a lot of people don't feel comfortable to come forward with this kind of stuff. A lot of people worry that they will be silenced and reprimanded because people don't believe them, and if they come forward and people just whatever, and then they get reprimanded for it. Like, so people are scared to come forward still. So I think it's up to all of us to demand accountability.
Oh yeah.
To empower those people to feel that they can come forward without fear of reprimand, without feeling like people will just make excuses and immediately write them off.
Yes. But I agree with you 100%, but the idea that we have to believe every single accuser, take seriously every accuser, yes, but believe, no. Evidence is innocent until proven guilty is something that I still believe in.
Yeah.
Okay. Enough accusers come forward. Should we take all of those accusers seriously? I mean, we should take a single person saying something seriously.
Yeah.
And when you have a bunch of people saying something, there's definitely merit.
Yeah.
But to just immediately say that it goes from accusation to definitive guilt,
yeah,
is a leap too far.
Well, yeah, I think we come into it. There is a scenario though that I think that where you can't make that call though is like if because there's situations where you don't know who to believe because for instance, if you have somebody that doesn't really have any history of a pattern of that sort of behavior, who one-on-one, nobody else knows anything about it, just one-on-one, 2 people are alone, something happens, what do you have to make the call on it?
That's what I'm saying.
If it is just like some sort of like horribly inappropriate thing.
That's what I'm saying. You take the accusation seriously. You don't have to believe it,
Mhm.
but take it seriously and investigate.
Yeah.
There's a difference between believing and taking seriously.
Well, right,
You
but
say,
what is
okay,
there
I
to
don't-
investigate, though? Is what I like. If there's nothing to investigate, though, then how do you make the call? Is what I'm saying. For something like Louis C.K., right, where he liked to expose himself in front of these women or whatever, and he did it to multiple women. What if he didn't do it to multiple women, and we only knew about one situation where he did it to one woman, isolated, nobody else around? And there's no evidence of them doing that. She didn't have her phone out. Nobody else was there. There's no, there's no physical way to prove it. It is just word versus word. And he did do it. What do we do there? It's like, well, Louis C.K., I mean, he's a cool guy.
But
I love his stand-up.
But how about
Where's
the guy?
the evidence?
But how about the guy who really didn't do anything wrong, but someone just wanted to crush him because they have some kind of disagreement?
Well, right. No, that's what I'm saying, though. You reach that point where there are, like, with something like that, there is no evidence. There can be no evidence for something like Louis C.K. exposing.
You can't hang someone on a single unprovable offense, because you could have someone who literally just wants to destroy someone.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's not what I'm just saying. Like, you can't hang somebody for an unprovable offense, but you also can't just, like, what happens if the offense is unprovable? That's the problem.
I agree.
It still happened, and then so somebody has to walk around saying, like, I came forward because Louis C.K. did this thing to me that was very traumatic, and because there was no evidence, because there can be no evidence for something like that, because I wasn't like, oh, well, here's his penis, here's my phone, like.
But that's also my point.
But why should that person?
What if you're the Louis C.K. in this situation and that didn't happen, and now there's this woman saying that you exposed yourself, and now you're walking around with your career destroyed off of one false accusation. That's my point. I have sympathy for the instances that are unprovable where you have to wonder if it happened or not, but are you going to really ruin someone for something you can't prove?
I mean, I don't know, because, like, what happened to Louis C.K.? Like, what happened to Louis C.K. was totally deserved, but at the same time, like, is he? He's still fine. He has millions of dollars. He's already done stand up again.
Let's go back to you. Okay, you said you like to. What's going on, buddy? Now let's say that every person you did that to at your work came forward and said, "Oh, that Evan, he just can't keep his hands to himself."
They'd be right.
You have 12 different people saying that. Yeah, they'd be right. But do you deserve to lose your career over a misinterpretation of what you do?
I think I do if I didn't hear anything.
If they never said to you, that bothers me.
No, for sure. Yeah, that I was just going to say. I think I do if I heard, if they said something to me and I didn't do anything, if I just continued, yeah. But yeah, if they're not saying anything to me, then no. But
I think we may be talking past each other a little bit.
In the same way that you don't think that somebody should be ruined for an accusation with no proof, I also don't think that somebody should then, on the flip side of that, somebody should have to walk around knowing that nobody gives a damn about what they went through because they can't prove a thing that did happen to them. Because would you want to be if there was no proof that, your uncle touched you when you were a kid, okay, and you came forward and said something to it, and your uncle's a cool dude and he never did anything to anybody else, nobody had any idea that he would do anything like that, and he touched you and it really messed you up, and you came forward and told somebody about it, and they were like, well, there's no evidence, he's a cool guy, this is completely out of the blue. You can't prove it. It happened to you. And now you're traumatized that this guy got away with doing that and it really messed you up. And you have to walk around like that forever. And so it's like the flip side of the coin is that, So that also sucks because it's just like, not only did this mess with me and make me unable to trust people, but now I feel like nobody, if I have an issue, I can't go out to people because I had this issue that deeply messed with me and no one believed me. And I don't know what's worse, is like feeling like literally something horrible happened to you and nobody believed you at all. Like, how would you feel about that? How could you walk around every day like that? So there's the flip side of that.
And I agree with you. I just, what do you do? What are you supposed to do?
I don't know. I genuinely think that there are very few scenarios where somebody just comes out to just ruin you baselessly. I think that there's more often than not, like if we're looking at something like this Ubisoft stuff,
they're all just allegations. It's all accusations at this point, but I have when overwhelming waves of people come out and say that something has happened. I mean, you have to believe it. But that's because most of the time when someone does something like that, it's not just a one-time incident.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not saying that it's okay for someone to do something one time and get away with it. But without any kind of evidence, how do you ruin someone? I see it, both sides of the coin. It's not cool.
Yeah.
But I can just see being the person who's accused of something. Like, well, I didn't see it that way.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel it. I understand what you're trying to say. I just don't. There's no really good answer. And I guess that I would always assume that people are good. But that's all you can really do. Like, that's what sucks about those kind of things, is like, you just have to go, well, what's more likely? Is it more likely that somebody had something happen to them and they don't have proof? But it did happen, or somebody just decided that they wanted to destroy somebody that day. And how often is that going to happen versus the other one? And I think in my mind, more often than not, people that are coming through with allegations that don't necessarily have the proof for you to go, that definitely happened, those people probably exist more out there than people that just want to just ruin people for no reason.
I know you're coming from a good place, and mm-hmm. that you're not who I'm going to be talking about. But what's that freaking justice's name?
Justice League.
No, Supreme Court justice. Accusations.
Crap. Oh, it's right
there.
Clarence Thomas?
No, not Clarence Thomas. The newest one. What's his face? Yeah. Booth. Kavanaugh.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kavanaugh. Okay, I want to address that Booth thing first. I named one of my frogs Boof. Mm-hmm. Because I didn't know that was some kind of slang term. Literally, there's a species of frog that its like scientific name is Boofidus bufidus. Mm-hmm. So Boof. Anyway. So I'm not, like I said, I know that you're coming from a good place, so I'm not saying implicating you in this whole suggestion, but that whole idea that you're talking about believing one individual accusation, coming from anyone of the left, I'd believe it a little bit more if you applied the same reasoning to Clinton as you did to Kavanaugh with Bonita Broderick, or you know what I mean? Like,
wait, you mean Bill Clinton?
Yeah. I
mean,
because when Like, it's all nice revisionist history to sit back now and say, oh, yeah, he should have been in trouble for all of that. But at the time, it was, oh, no, she was making it up. Oh, Juanita Broderick, crazy person. And, like, now it's like, oh, Kavanaugh, oh, he got one accusation. We should destroy his whole career. Hello.
But I mean, like, but he did do all those things. Clinton did do all those things.
Yeah, but that's my point, is it's all revision. Like I said, I know you're not one of those people. But there are those people that whenever it's someone they like, it's, oh, it didn't happen. Hello.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, I guess, the guy was impeached because of stuff like that. And he had dealt with that stuff. He had dealt with previous allegations before he was made president.
yes.
So that's the thing, is they wrote that stuff off, and he still got to be president because people don't believe people. That's from my perspective. How is that not making my argument?
Right. But that's
People
why
came up with proof, and they didn't care.
That's why I said I'm not applying this to you, because I know you're coming from a good place. But there are those out there who, whenever it's someone they don't like, they are more than willing to jump on board. But when it's someone that's like on their side, it's, no, I can't believe that. Like right now with Biden and the many accusations against him about being inappropriate, but it's, oh, not our boy, not Biden.
Yeah.
No, grow up.
Yeah.
You can't apply it differently just because they're on your side of the aisle. Wake up, people.
No, yeah, that Biden stuff, man. Not good.
And there's plenty of pictorial evidence of him being handsy.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Believe the Kavanaugh's accusers with no evidence, but don't believe Biden's with you have actual pictures of him getting too close to people?
Yeah. Yeah, no. That's, I completely agree with that. But
It takes away from the message. I'm all on board for women being able to speak their mind or speak about their experiences and the wrongdoings, but let's apply this across the board.
yeah.
Everyone should be treated the same then. So if Kavanaugh can lose his seat, then Biden doesn't get to run for president.
Yeah. I don't know, because like we've just reinforced that like Kavanaugh is a Supreme Court justice now. Like that's what I mean.
But we're getting way off in the weeds now.
Yeah.
Everything that's happening is good, I think. As far as the Ubisoft people being forced to step down, I'm sure they're all going to get these wonderful golden parachutes when they resign.
Yeah, they will.
But the fact that they won't be in a position of power to lord it over any of the women
For the
good
for the moment. Yeah. Until they get hired by somebody else.
Well, that's the thing. Now we know what you're about. And if another company decides to hire them on knowing these things, well, then you can say you can boycott that company, and
yeah,
all
right. Well, that got I
heated.
like that. That was great. No, would we rather have interesting heated debate, or would we rather just agree all the time? What's more interesting?
I don't think we disagreed necessarily.
No, I don't.
disagree with you that we disagree.
Okay, well, that's all for today. Remember to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. We would like to hear from you, so comment if you'd like, and you can email us at nonsensorypod@gmail.com. Also, we stream Tuesdays at 7:30 Eastern. Please don't forget, so please come check us out on twitch.tv/nonsensory. And if you can, please support us on Patreon at patreon.com/nonsensorypod. And as always, we love you. Peace.
Be easy.